And then do you keep a specific amount of space in between each vine?
Yeah, so these are, I believe, are 5-foot spacing. We planted a new vineyard and did 6-foot spacing because these are super vigorous and could use more.
I was gonna say, what happens? Is there any issues if two vines like start growing and they're like connecting
They
with one
just
another?
start blocking the sun for each other, and it gets really dense. But there's all different growing techniques. Some people plant super close, some people plant super far, some people make it into a bush. It's all kind of just like what grows well, or how the vine grows in your area, and it's extremely location specific.
Yeah.
So you can learn from other winemakers in your area, you can learn from different techniques, but until you plant a vineyard, you don't really know. And when you plant a vineyard, it better last for 40 years. So
Just skin in the game.
yeah.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, that's what I try to push for people just growing their own food in general.
Yeah.
Is you go to a grocery store and you see everything stocked, but you genuinely have no idea how much work goes behind it all. And then once you start growing your own food, or you don't have to, you can just go visit a farm. You have more skin in the game, and so you start to understand what it actually takes.
Yeah, I mean, I think even just having a small garden, you get an idea, you know. Everyone's going to have setbacks and everything, and so you kind of just learn from that. And it's small scale, whatever, but it's cool.
Well, it's just the biggest aspect, too, is there's elements out of your control, the weather,
Mm-hmm.
like you just described with your grapes.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand at all, because we are so accustomed to where food, doesn't matter what fruit, vegetables, we have it year-round. And for most of our history, that's not how it has been.
No.
And yeah, to me, again, it's because there's no skin in the game. So yeah, having a garden changes that.
Yeah, so I mean, the hard freezes, the temperatures, that's out of our control. There's not really anything we can do to heat 3 acres, you know. And then last year, talking to the other vineyards around that experienced some of the same things, what we've kind of collectively hive mind thought is we all kind of lost big chunks of our vineyard due to a really dry winter. It just didn't snow much last winter. And our water, we have really good water here. Like I have water for another 10 days till mid-October, but a lot of people get shut off in July. And so there's only so much you can do watering wise. And you know, that makes it whether land can be farmed or not, depending. But I try and water these as like little as possible. I want the roots to shoot super far down and tap into the groundwater, tap into all that new soil, as opposed to if you have a drip irrigated vineyard, the roots are just going to be stuck in a ball up at the top because that's where they're incentivized to be. So I want the roots to go super far down, really connect with the soil, really connect with everything, and bring all those nutrients up so that my wine doesn't just become whatever I fertilize it with. Because ultimately, if you're just drip irrigating and fertilizing because that area of the soil is getting depleted, your wine just becomes whatever you fertilize with, and you really lose that sense of place.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then whenever you're walking around, just looking at it, how do you determine when it needs to be watered? Or like if there's a specific area that really needs to be taken care of?
So I screwed up this year. This is my first year being fully in charge of the vineyard. I was helping my dad and buying the grapes from him before, but now I'm fully doing this, and it changes a little bit because our neighbors have a peach farm and they just installed drip irrigation, so they were flooding, so we didn't need to water as much. And so it's kind of changed over the last couple of years, and all this grass that we're standing on was super brown, and there was areas up in the far end that way of the vineyard that weren't really coming out early spring. They weren't really going, and the rest of the vineyard was. And so I watered that and they started going, but unfortunately I watered that after I would have needed to really get good grape production from that. So this kind of being my first year fully in charge of everything here, I just didn't notice it. And now what I'll do is probably hit early spring water going hard, get everything going, established, and then as you get close to ripening, you don't want to water a ton because it soaks into the grapes. It makes it more watery. You want a more concentrated wine.
Perfect. So this vine's going real well, to put it lightly. I guess my question too, I know it's probably with age and other elements, but how come this one is just really grown a lot versus, say, some of these other ones?
So a lot of them just died back last year.
Okay.
And these are just more established, and this is the end of the growing season. So we already picked, and
when do you typically pick?
Late September to early October. So we've picked as of like today, previous years, but this vine specifically is just well established. It's got a few extra shoots because we train up more than we need just in case we get dieback. And then everything's growing like crazy because midsummer things just grow like 2 feet a week, like insane growth out of these. So what we'll do is we'll cut off everything basically to where it's only, each vine has only 4 points where it'll grow. And so this will look completely different. Everything that's green here is going to be cut off. And it's just going to be cut back to like the trunk of the vine basically. So that'll be done in the spring once kind of the hard frosts are over. And then we get bud break in early May. So we're one of the last things. So a hard freeze in the spring will get apricots, peaches, cherries, everything else here. But it doesn't get grapes because we're the last thing to put out and then about the last thing to pick. So yeah, everything here is cut. I'll come in with a hedge trimmer sometimes just to clear it out a little bit, and then we go in with pruning shears.
So what happens if, say, you don't do that and just let it continue to grow?
So then you kind of just get grapes everywhere. The ripening gets a lot less stable, a lot less uniform. So you don't really know when to pick. Just you get some unripe grapes, some super ripe grapes, and it's just hard to manage at a certain point as well. So you do that to kind of keep it tame and then keep it more uniform so that everything is the same. So you know right when to pick. So everything's kind of on the same template. And yeah, then it would just get too crazy. It would turn into a bush.